The truth and still lie. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
What is up, YouTube? It is your boy, The Truth, back at it again with another video. So, this whole StockX and Nike situation, I was not going to talk about it. I think it's just getting annoying, but everyone is just giving their 2 cents and making up things and starting rumors. So I actually called a buddy of mine who works for Nike. We had a conversation last night, and I'm going to drop a few gems on you, so let's get into it.
Break it down like this.
First off, shout out Jumperman Kris. He said he watches the channel. I was stoked to see that. Next up, I saw this comment on Instagram. I saw it on YouTube. And so a lot of people were suggesting Nike start their own kind of StockX GOAT type of system. And the problem with this is, who's going to authenticate the shoes? There's only a couple people in the entire Nike corporation that can authenticate shoes, who actually know what's going on. I think we just assume everyone who works for Nike is designing shoes. What about Renee in accounting? What about Tim in marketing? There's tons of people who work at Nike who don't even really care about shoes. These are just jobs for them, and we fail to realize that. Another issue I see is, let's say the next Jordan release is making 80,000 pairs. So 80,000 are supposed to be for retail. What's going to stop Nike from making 40,000 pairs available for retail, and then they could just send 40,000 pairs directly to their resale market for double the price? It just doesn't make any sense. Another issue is, again, who's going to authenticate them? They're going to have to hire a team of people who they're going to have to train to authenticate these shoes. If fakes are slipping past GOAT, they're slipping past StockX. How is Nike going to do it any different? It's still people making not too much per hour. These are just regular people. I mean, you got to stop to think about what's really going on at these companies. You might have a disgruntled employee who doesn't really give a shit about their job. They might pass fakes because they don't care. I don't know how much an authenticator makes, but I'm sure it's not a great salary. So if Nike did in fact put this into place, I'm sure fakes would squeeze by their employees also. I mean, the only person at Nike who's really knowing what's going on is probably some designer who makes 200 grand a year. Do you think he's going to sit there and authenticate these shoes? It's just not going to happen, guys. Sometimes you just got to think about what you're saying. Another comment, which is just ridiculous, is, why doesn't Nike just make more pairs? This would stop this. Well, Nike tried this with the cool grays, and how'd that turn out for you? The cool grays were still hard to get. So what do you want Nike to do? You want them to make 10 million pairs? Like, they can't do that. It's just not going to happen. They're not going to make more pairs. They're going to make what they make, and that's it. And there's always going to be a resale market. People wear their shoes. So to get your hands on a brand new dead stock pair of shoes that's 3 or 4 years old, you're going to have to pay resale. So that market's always going to be there. So let's get into this beef. Nike says that they bought shoes from StockX and they were counterfeit. So it'd be really interesting to see who actually did the legit check at Nike to verify these were counterfeit. Like I said before, there's not too many people there who could actually tell a fake from a real. I was talking to my boy who works at the Nike campus. He said there's a vast majority of people there who aren't even into sneakers. So, you can't just take a real pair and a fake pair to any Nike employee. It's got to be a specific person there. So then StockX retaliates with this statement. I think this was misconstrued. The reason StockX put this statement out is because it says that hundreds of Nike employees, including the current senior executives, use StockX to buy and sell products. Now, here's where they're taking a shot. When you work for Nike, you sign like an NDA, like a non-disclosure agreement or whatever you want to call it. It's basically saying that you will not resell shoes. And they're very specific about this. They say, even if you buy a pair of shoes at retail, you cannot resell those shoes. If you violate this agreement, it is terms for expulsion, fired, whatever you want to call it. Most Nike corporate employees have a very high salary. I mean, if you're working at Nike, you're probably $100,000 and up. They pay very well. So if you're making this much money, there's no need for you to resell sneakers. If I were to take an educated guess, I would say this is coming from the employees who work at Nike stores who make more like minimum wage retail employees. Another misconception I'm reading on the internet is Nike employees are probably backdooring pairs. They're backdooring early pairs. And so what I was told from my buddy is that they do not get early pairs. They do get discounted pairs. So the day of a release, most Nike employees are on the sneakers app catching L's just like everybody else. If you catch an L, you can go down to the employee store and see if they have the shoe that released. If they do have it, you get it 50% off. But if you have work to do and you can't get down there, you're just missing out on that shoe. There's a lot of employees who do not get every shoe they want. I mean, I think people think if you work at Nike, you're just getting flooded shoes left and right, and it's just not true. A little story about myself. When I was younger, I wanted to work at a record label, so I got an internship at a very large record label because I loved hip-hop music. When I got to the record label and started interning there, I realized most of the people working there didn't really know what good music was, but they knew how to do their jobs, which was marketing, which was publicity. The reason I bring that up is because I'm sure it relates to Nike just the same. Just because you work at Nike does not mean you're a sneakerhead. It does not mean you have a huge sneaker collection. There's people there who just do their jobs and look at it just that way. It's just their job. One last point I want to make is not everyone is a sneakerhead paying attention to all of this. There's a lot of people who buy shoes off StockX because it's just easy for them. And they don't want to wake up in the morning and go on sneakers, and they don't know when stuff releases, and they don't really care. I'm talking about influencers and just regular people, females. They're just not sneakerheads, but they saw a dunk and they want that dunk, and they know they could go on StockX and buy it. Those type of people, they don't even know that StockX has been accused of selling fakes. They don't keep up on this news. So StockX might be okay. We will see. So I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I had a long conversation with a Nike employee, and he filled me in on a lot of stuff, a lot of good information. If you have any questions, you could leave them in the comments. Once again, it's your boy, The Truth, aka Paul Pierce, aka George Washington, because I cannot tell a lie. And I'm out.